Good evening, everyone. My name is Vishal, and this is our channel Power Within Psychology. Today, we have another episode of Insiders Insights 4.2, and today we are going to talk about pursuing M.Phil Clinical Psychology from Amity University Gwalior. To help us get more knowledge about the university and the course, we have today Niharika Dasgupta, who is currently pursuing her MPhil Clinical Psychology from the same institute, Amity University Gwalior. So I'll just give you a bit introduction of the resource person we have today. Meanwhile, if you have any questions or if you want to ask any specific thing that I might miss out, you're welcome to post all the questions in the comments and the live chat. So Niharika Dasgupta has completed her bachelor's in psychology from Banasthali Vidhyapith University, her master's in clinical psychology from Amity University Gwalior, and her MPhil in clinical psychology from Amity University Gwalior. She has worked as an HR intern with the Reliance, as a clinical psychology intern with Gwalior Mansik Arogshalya, again a clinical psychology intern with Bhave Institute of Mental Health, and she has also worked with psychiatrists as a under their supervision in the area of clinical psychology and mental health. So with that, I would welcome Niharika ji in the session. Thank you, Niharika, for
Oh,
joining us today.
thank you for inviting me here.
Definitely. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good, Niharika ji, and on the behalf of Power Within team and all the future aspirants who are interested in the clinical psychology domain and pursuing MPhil clinical psychology, I welcome you and thank you that you could take out your time. We know how rigorous is MPhil clinical psychology training, so we are grateful that you can take out some time to help us out with the questions.
That's no problem.
So निहारिका जी का नेचर ऐसा ही है जितना भी मैंने समझा है शी इज़ वेरी वेरी jolly and very humble. So Niharika ji will start with first question. How is your
Hmm.
journey currently going on in the institute? How are you finding it?
It's been good. It has its own ups and downs as a intern, as a trainee in clinical psychology. It gets a little hectic, but then at the end, when you get to your bed and when you sit and think about it, it makes you feel grateful for where you are. So it has been good. It has been challenging in its own way, but mostly good.
So currently the colleges have opened up again and you're back into the institute
Yeah.
and you're able to see clients. The training is again on. So how's that?
Yeah.
Are you missing home?
There's always an element of missing your home, missing your comfort place, and everything. But the kick that you get while seeing the clients, while understanding the patients, and working with them, it compensates for all the missing that you have for your house. I mean, like the clients are the best teachers for you. You'll understand the disorder in a way which a book won't be able to make you understand. So that's that.
Definitely. So, Niharika ji, how is the faculty? How is the hostel? How is the overall vibe of the institute?
The vibe of the institute is very good. The teachers can be strict at times because they want you to push your limits, they want you to learn, they want you to get prepared for the real world. I mean, here, even though you are working as a professional, you still are in shadows of your teachers. So, they protect you from a lot of problems that you go through, but then they
Okay,
also try to prepare you for the real world. So, then you see a lot of cases, so it's amazing. It's something which is worth doing at the end of the day. And the teachers, on the other hand, they don't treat you as a student. they will treat you as a colleague, because you're already in this field, you're already working. So that's how it is. They will be available for you 24/7. Any question that you have regarding your case presentation, be it psychodynamic reports and all of these things that you have to formulate. So anything that you like, any question that you have, they are available 24/7. So the teachers are pretty much your colleagues now, and they support you.
Yeah.
They're your mentors. So, yeah.
And how are seniors?
Seniors have been good. They have taught us to, how to like do MSc, because a lot of clients, like, especially for a person like me, when somebody is talking, like, when the client is talking, I don't know how to, interrupt and, ask questions and, to move about, because you are in a psychiatric setting. You need to get answers quickly so that, you can make a diagnostic report, provide it to your psychiatrist. They can prescribe the medication. So it's a very, cut to cut job. So initially I had a lot of trouble in that. So they teach you how to do it. So yeah, it has been
Any
good.
do you miss your seniors?
Sorry.
Okay. No, I just made a rhetorical question. Do you miss your seniors?
Our seniors are still here. They'll be leaving in
Oh,
a month. Yeah,
oh,
they'll be leaving in a month. So
nice,
we still have some time with them.
nice. So Niharika, the next question would be for students is how how is the entrance exam of the institute and how they can prepare for it? Is it
Okay.
similar in some ways to other exams of clinical psychology, or does it has a specific structure or it asks specific kind of questions?
Yeah. So, like, I think everybody would say MPhil clinical psychology examinations, like entrance examinations, are quite similar to one another. They have certain types of questions that you have to understand, you have to work with. So, the thing is, I had asked my classmates as to what questions were they asked in their interviews and the entrances that they gave for the other institutes as well. So basically, what I have found is that like, at least for Gwalior, they focus a lot on general psychology, things that you have learned in your bachelor's. That is something that you forget very easily if you don't study properly. So they focus on that. So they want to know your basics, if it is clear or not. So it is mostly on general psychology. Then a lot has to do with your research and statistics. That is
Okay.
something which has extreme weightage. They'll ask you 5 6 questions from that. Then your social psychology, and also some amount of cognitive psychology has, some weightage
Ji,
in
ji.
it, so they'll ask you questions from that. So all of these basic things you really need to have like, good power on. Whereas when it comes to your psychopathologies and your psychiatry, those questions come in your entrance exam. But if you've cleared your entrance, then you get to your interview, right? So for your interview, that is very important. You need
Okay.
to know your disorders, you need to know the major classifications, you need to know the clusters of disorders. So this is something which is very important.
Ji. So Niharika ji, it raises two questions in my mind. First is when we talk about statistics, students want to know how much depth in statistics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, statistics has always been my weak point as well. I never really enjoyed statistics, but basic central tendencies and your standard deviations, that is something that you need to know. Your t tests, your ANOVA, and I mean mean median mode. Where is ANOVA used? Why is ANOVA used? Why is t test used? Such questions that, you just let go and don't focus on a lot. Those are the questions you need to know. So those are the
Oh,
questions that, like, we think that we'll do it, we'll focus on the numericals. You need to know
mhm.
the reason why you're putting it, like why are you using ANOVA, why are using t-test, what is the reason behind using t-test and not ANOVA. So these are some things that you
So
need to
these kind
focus
of
on.
questions can be asked in the exam.
Yeah, yeah. So like we were eight of us that are in our class, and I think
Mhm.
almost seven of us were asked this question: why ANOVA and why not t-test, and why t-test and why not ANOVA. So yeah,
So does the
that's something that you.
calculation, yeah.
Hmm.
So, do we have to focus on the calculation as well, like we do for the net exam?
Yeah, see, the basic calculations you need to know, your formulas you need to understand, and once you understand why this formula is being put here and what is the significance of all of these, it becomes a bit easy. And the thing is, you're allowed to use calculators in your exam. It's not like you just have to know how to make
So
roots
they
and
can
everything.
ask you to calculate it. Like you can,
Yeah,
they can
you're
ask you to
allowed to use
calculate
calculators.
ANOVA or anything.
Yeah, yeah. Not in the tests, but they might ask you in entrance exam, like what is the significance. So the sums won't be there, but like they would ask you the formula for it if they feel like asking. If
Yeah.
you like, it happens basically how your interview is going. If you are interested in, if you get a teacher who's interested in say statistics, who has a hold on statistics, who feels the statistics is important, then you might.
Or if you shows that you know a lot about stats, then they will
Yeah, that's
definitely
also
grill.
there. Yeah.
So, as far as the exam is concerned, conceptual statistics is there, and they might ask to calculate
Might.
simple
Yeah.
things. Yeah,
Yeah.
nice. The second question, Niharika ji, is um, how much percentage of the exam would be psychopathology or abnormal psychology?
Sorry, can you
How much percentage of the exam would
Mhm.
be related to psychopathology or abnormal psychology?
Okay. So, let's say 10% of your exam would be about this, but in your interviews, you need to know the disorders, you need to know the classifications. So, you need to focus a lot on psychopathology and abnormal psychology when the interviewer is asking you questions. So, that's something which is
जी.
important.
This clarity I think is very important for students because one question they have is कि सिर्फ abnormal पढ़ के चला जाए तो हो जाएगा या कितना पढ़ के जाए.
नहीं सब पढ़ के जाओ जो मास्टर्स और बैचलर्स में पढ़ा है.
And there are a lot of compliments coming on the chat for you. So I don't
Yeah,
know if
those
you're
are my
able to see the
friends. I
chat.
don't know.
जी. And Niharika ji, a related question would be if you try to remember the exam, are there questions related to medications and how much important it would be for
Pharmacology.
the exam?
Yeah.
Yeah, psychopathology.
Not really, not really. You can know little bit about your pharmacology, things that are
Mhm.
mentioned in your synopsis. Like you have that medication wala section, right, where you get to know about
SSRIs,
what medication.
right?
Yeah, just that. You need to know how SSRIs work. Just those things,
Mhm.
basic things. Not a lot about medications, no.
What are the side effects of the anything
Yeah,
like
little
that?
bit
That's
like basic things. What will happen if you give Q-tip in? What are the side effects? If you go for say
so that
lithium, what tests you need? Basic.
so that can be asked in the exam.
They might. See,
They might.
that actually depends on the teacher that you get. Again, if it is their forte, if they are, if it is the area of interest for the like the CP that is sitting in front of you, then they'll ask you. I don't think, but pharmacology questions are not that. It's not really that important. No.
So thank you, Niharika ji. I think that cleared out a lot for regarding the exam. Now they would like to know, the students would like to know that how did you prepare for the exam and what are the advices would you give based on your experience?
Yeah. So I actually, to be very honest, I didn't really prepare for the exam. Uh, we were even like me and one of my friends, we were thinking of taking a drop and preparing properly and not actually going forward for it. But then one of our teachers, like, she is one of my like mentors, and she has actually helped me a lot. If you don't mind, I'll take her name, Divya Chauhan. She actually pushed
If you won't
us,
mind,
you
she could mind.
no, no, she won't mind.
Okay, bilkul.
Yeah, so Divya ma'am, she actually pushed us to fill the forms this year and actually learn what questions, might come for exams. So this is something that I would like to tell everybody, that if you're even if you're trying to take a drop year and practice for a year and not actually go for MPhil this year, because it can be hectic. Like, the course is quite hectic and exhaustive. So it's just that go for the tests, go for the entrances, because you
Mhm.
get to know the pattern, you get to know the questions that might come. So that happened, and somehow, because I studied in my bachelor's, I put in efforts, I got into Amity, and I decided to stay here because my faculty was really good. They were very supportive, and I was comfortable with them. So I was like, yeah, this is the place where I'll be.
I think this is very important thing that you said. If any of the students is planning to take a drop, at
Yeah.
least do not drop the idea of giving an exam right now,
Yeah.
because you never know, you might uh, go through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and your 1 year could be saved. Like, we have an example right now.
Yeah.
So Niharika, so Niharika ji, when you try to remember your interview,
Hmm.
what kind of questions you asked, were asked, and how you took, how you directed your interview, because
Okay.
you, yeah.
Yeah. So for my interview, a lot of questions were asked from testing. And basically, if you have ever studied any, say, projective techniques, projective tests, they're very important when you study a client with, people who are not really like up for objective tests. You would get to know a lot about a person from projective tests, right? So we were asked, which projective test have you studied? So a lot of people would ask, acha, rushak pada, to rushak mein tell me how many cards are there, how many achromatic, how many chromatic. So that's important. You need to
Mhm.
know all of these things. You need to know about little bit about TAT, why it is used, how many cards are
Ji.
there, how many cards you give to your client. These are certain questions that was asked. Then it was like, for me, it was, they asked me, like, now that ICD-11 is online and it's up in the market. So they asked me, what is the difference now, what is the difference from ICD-10 to ICD-11, what all say disorders have been added, what all disorders have, what is the coding scheme now. So those certain things that we don't actually pay attention to, these questions were asked.
Nice. I think this is one of the first times I've been hearing about being asked about ICD-10 and ICD-11 changes.
Mhm.
So that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
So Niharika ji, was there any time in the interview that you didn't know the answer or you couldn't give the answer, and how
Yeah,
did you
yeah. I mean,
tackle it?
that's only human for you to not know everything, right? So that happened. Like, I didn't know one or two questions, and then rather than just saying that I don't know, or just sitting there staying mum, you can say that ma'am, I'm not sure of the answer, or I don't know the answer, and I'll go back and read up to it. So what happens is the teacher understands, or the interviewer understands that you actually are confident enough to accept that you don't know. You're not wasting their time sitting there looking at them, that you're thinking, and then they're looking at you. yeah, she'll answer. So being very upfront and telling that, I might not know, and this is something that I need to learn, I'll go and read about it. So that makes you seem a little confident. So that's something that I did. That
जी
probably helped
बिल्कुल.
me.
Yes, and I think it's comforting for the students who are watching. By
Yeah.
the way, can we ask about the questions?
Yeah, sure, sure. I've made a list of questions that all of my friends were asked also. So there were questions with testing, so projective tests about Rorschach, then TAT, as I mentioned. They'll ask you about, the intelligence types of intelligence tests. What are there? What tests can you use on, say, patients with learning disability? So you need to know that, the series of tests you can go about. So you just don't go for the learning disability ka test. You don't go for, say you would put Nimhans ka battery. So you can't just say that I'll put Nimhans ka battery. You need to know the order in which you need to ask the tests and, conduct the tests. So that's something that you need to know. It's very, like, the basic things that, you can observe in your, like, if you have ever done your internships, or, in your college also. These are the basic things that you learn. So they basically observe how well you can understand what is happening in your environment, how well you are with the, you know the internships that you did, or was it worth for you, like, they'll understand that. Then one question
Yes,
was,
yes.
yeah, so one question was difference between psycho, or like non-parametric and parametric metric testing. Then there is a lot of psychopathologies, new age psychopathologies that have been added. And like, all of these things, basic questions,
जी,
nothing which
जी.
is very out of the world.
सो निहारिका जी, जैसे आपने बताया ICD 10 ICD 11 के बारे में, तो in similar way, is DSM-4 TR and DSM-5 comparison is important in the context of Amity Gwalior?
I would say knowing DSM is okay. Like, you should know, because DSM is used worldwide, right? It is used
Yeah.
outside India. It is used in a lot of places. So you can know about DSM, but not the comparison part of it. That's not there. Also, in clinical settings, we use ICD for the diagnostic purposes. We use ICD for the ruling out of the disorders and everything. So ICT is the main focus, I would say, for MPhil.
Yes, definitely. So, Niharika ji, next thing we would like to ask you is what will be the book recommendations according to you for the students who are preparing for MIT Gwalior?
Okay. So, like, don't feel like, if it is a private institute, it won't be that good, it is not recognized or whatever. Like, I get that a lot from people that, why Amity, why not a government college? So at the end of the day, you're going to get a good license. You're going to have the right to practice as a clinical psychologist. And I would really like to break the myth of saying that, Amity is not worth it or whatever. Amity is actually worth it in that sense, especially our Gwalior, because we have actually tied up with a government medical college. So we get areas of, psychopathologies there. We understand it every day. We work with the clients. We do the testing. Also, you get way better tests, to understand and to apply it with your clinical folks. I won't say that, government colleges are not worth it. Obviously, they are government colleges. They're actually worth. But I would say that Amity is equally good. Like Amity or even Manipal or these private institutions, they are equally good. So that's that.
जी. So, आपके कहने पे ही मितिका पूछ रहे हैं कि it is good equally, but is it equally demanding also?
Yeah, 100%. You have
Yeah.
to be at your toes. You have to work hard with your clients. You have to work hard with your patients. You have to make diagnostic reports. There is weekly submissions for them. Then there are different case conferences that happens. Then you might have special lectures that you have to give for your, if you get a good client, if you get a good case, so there would be a case conference held. So it is equally demanding. Then, you are at OPD from 9 to 2, working with the clients every day. So it is.
So even there can be myths for the students that being a private institute, it might be that easy to get in, or it might not be that good. So these are myths, and you shouldn't go by that. So, as Niharika ji is saying, it's a very good institute, and it's a very demanding, rigorous process also. So be prepared according to that. Niharika ji, any book recommendations regarding the entrance exam preparation that you can suggest us?
Yeah. So for your psychopathology, first you can go for is synopsis of psychiatry. It is very important, very very important. Then there's one book called CTP, Comprehensive Textbook of Psychiatry. Then you can go
Could you
for social
also
psych.
share the authors for the students because they might get confused?
Yeah, synopsis of psychiatry. I think it's online. You can easily find it.
Yeah.
I would suggest social psychology ke liye Myers and Robert.
Ji.
That's one thing that you really need to study. Then for general psychology, it is Morgan and King, and even Barron. Barron is very good for general psychology. Then Cicerelli, it's important.
Bilkul.
Then for research methodology, Kuthari is very good. Then people might, like, your teachers might be angry, but you can read AK Singh. AK Singh has very matlab, comprehensive tarike mein it has written everything. Don't tell your teachers about it, but yeah, read it. Then there is then for testing, Anastasi. Anastasi is something that I swear by. It's very good. It's it's amazing.
Ji.
It is something that you can just घोट के पी जाओ. It's like that.
Bilkul.
Then then for your statistics, Killinger and even Bruce. Bruce is good.
Okay.
Then for theory of personality, Schultz. These are some things that you can read and you are good to go. Like, I won't suggest 10 books and ask you to read everything, because you can't. It gets really hectic. So stick to one book and read it properly. That's something that I did, and that helped me.
Ji. Thank you, Niharika ji. I think that covered, and the book recommendations were really great as I was also listening to you. There is a question from Jagruti. थोड़ा सा मैं इसमें ऐड कर दूंगा. ये वाला मैं आंसर कर देता हूँ. जागृति, you will have to do. So there, I think there is a network issue. We'll just wait for a second. We'll just wait for the network to be okay again, so that we can continue. All right. So Niharika ji might be facing a network issue. We will wait for her to reconnect. Though she has answered all of our questions as of now. Jagruti, you will have to do a master's in psychology before you can apply for MPhil in clinical psychology, right? So once you have done a master's in psychology, then on the basis of that, you can apply for MPhil in clinical psychology. And yes, Nikhil, this video will be there on the channel after the live, and you can watch it again.
I'm so sorry, my network just acted up.
No worries, it happens.
Yeah.
So, जागृति का एक सवाल था निहारिका जी जो मैंने आंसर कर दिया है, बट देर इज
Hmm.
एन एडिशनल पार्ट टू इट।
Hmm.
जो इग्नू के स्टूडेंट्स हैं या फिर जो डिस्टेंस डिग्री वाले बच्चे हैं मास्टर्स में, इज इट इजी फॉर देम टू अप्लाई फॉर एमिटी ग्वालियर, एंड कैन दे अप्लाई?
Yeah, any person who has done MA in psychology can apply, but the thing is, you need to like work in a way which makes you equipped to the like at par with the people who have been doing it full time. Like I'm not
Yeah,
demeaning the person who's doing it, but you need to know the things that the other person is knowing, so you have to put in that extra effort. That's that.
definitely. Because you have not, definitely you have not gone to a regular degree, so
Yeah,
that regular teaching has not been there, and it would require for you to put extra efforts for the
yeah.
preparation and for the exam and interview both. And so that's all, Niharika ji. There is one question, and I don't. You can decide whether you want to uh, say something on this or not.
Uh, I would say that that's not that. That's not an issue. I would say like when you're working, you're a professional. You might have certain, difference of opinion, but there's no anti as such. We don't hate them. They don't hate us. We work together for the client's betterment or the, patient's betterment, and basically you need to have a good working environment to be able to work properly. So it is very personal for a person to not like a psychologist or not like a psychiatrist, but it is not, it is not like I say stereotype nahi hai ye ki don't think of it like that.
Niharika ji, one last question.
Yeah.
So this is often asked, and I would like if you can answer that. So a lot of students ask, can after M.Phil Clinical Psychology, can psychologist can also prescribe some medicines or not?
No. That's that's not your work. Don't do that. You can know about the medications. You need to know about medications. Why? Because you need to know if that symptom or the if the client is having some issue. Say, when you give medications for SSRIs, it can happen so that the client might be drowsy or get not like feel very lethargic. So you need to know if it is the symptom that is coming for the disorder or is it the side effect of the medication. That's the reason why you need to know about the medication so that you can work with the client in a certain way. You cannot prescribe medications. Don't do that.
ये establish हो चुका है clearly. So Niharika ji, that's all from our side. I think it would help a lot of students. The key insights and information from your experience that you have shared. Uh, if you want to share any key advices or any suggestions for the students, please.
Yeah. So, for something that I realized working with a lot of patients is that initially, when you work with your clients, you might feel very sad about the client, or you might start resonating with them. So, one thing which I heard from one of my friends, and that struck like that stayed with me for forever, is that you can get into their shoes and feel their pain, but you can also choose to wear your own socks. So that's something that you need to know, uh, to not to not feel weird about it. So yeah, that's that.
You are also a human. So thank you, Niharika ji, for sharing, for patiently listening to all of questions and answering them with such insights and experiences. We are really grateful for you that you could be with us and answer our questions.
Yeah, I'm really thankful for you too to calling me here and doing this interview, because it's very important for the students to know about MPhil, because it's not like normal courses like MBA or engineering that you have a person at your place who would guide you with it. So these interviews are really important. Yeah.
So, on the behalf of Power Within team and all the students who are watching us and who will be watching this session later. I thank you, and we are grateful for your time and insights you shared with us. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Yeah.
So, who are watching this session and will be watching, we'll stop here with the session. But in the coming weeks, we will be coming up with more conversations around more career fields and courses in psychology, and uh, such interesting conversations around that where you can learn about it and you can also uh, ask your questions related to it. So take care, have a good evening, and best wishes for your career.